Transparency International will release later today its 24th Annual Corruption Perceptions Index to rate how countries are contributing in the fight against corruption. The index for 2018 ranks 180 countries and territories, drawing on 13 expert assessments and surveys of business people. Analysis of the 2018 results explores the relationship between corruption and the global crisis in democracy.
Exactly, Lynette. In its regional analysis, the organization notes that sub-Saharan Africa remains a region marked by deep political and socio-economic contrasts. Many countries have adopted democratic principles of governance, but many are still governed by authoritarian or semi-authoritarian leaders. Autocratic regimes, civil unrest, weak institutions, and irresponsible political systems continue to undermine anti-corruption efforts. So we discussed this in detail with Samuel Kaninda, Regional Advisor for West Africa at Transparency International. Good morning, Mr. Kaninda. How do you compare protest and political participation? Because it is the lowest ranked countries like Sudan, Congo, where we are seeing more demonstrations and yet little democracy.
Our point here that we are trying to make is to say exactly like you said, the countries you mentioned, Congo and Sudan and the others, to say they are demonstrations, but it's mostly about the response of the states to such demonstration and what are the issues underlying these demonstrations. And we are saying that corruption in the political system, in the administration of countries, leads actually citizens to lose trust in their public institutions, and that is this type of protest. And when democratic institutions are also weakened because of corruption, it makes it difficult to fight the scourge. So that's our point, that when political participation is restricted, even civic participation, we see it also manifesting in how elections are conducted, where political activism, especially when it's about emitting views that are not in sync with what the ruling elite at the time is thinking, it usually leads to repercussions. And we are saying that the two go hand in hand, and the examples you have mentioned are countries where political participation is quite under stress, we would say, and at the same time the scores that they have is not really, these are not positive scores, as we would say, because it's really below 50%, which means that corruption in those countries is systemic and endemic.
Well, Samuel, now that the DRC has a new president, how is their ranking going to improve with the president from the opposition party, that is the Union for Democracy and Social Progress? Will it become democratic, as its name suggests?
It remains to be seen, because we saw that all opposition, not only opposition, I would say all candidates, the one from the outgoing majority and the two from the opposition, none of them missed the issue of corruption. That's a recognition that it's a big issue, a huge challenge for the country that is resource rich in terms of minerals, but also human resource, but also with one of the poorest populations in the world. So you can see that governance is the main challenge in the country, and corruption is even greater. So we, as observers, will also be looking at what decisions will be taken, concrete steps, on the side of the newly inaugurated president in terms of the fight against corruption. He himself mentioned in his inauguration speech that the estimated amount that the country loses to corruption is between 16 and $50 billion per year. For a country that is only able to raise hardly $5 billion a year for its national budget, it is a big issue, and we will be observing to see how the country or the leadership will now address the issue of corruption, and this will, of course, reflect on its score in the next, let's say, 2 to 3 years, because that's usually the time that one can allow for perceptions to start shifting.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel Kanenda, Regional Advisor for West Africa at Transparency International.